And we are live. We are live. Divorce is the topic. My name is Beta Rock. I'm getting myself situated. And together, we can change the world. Over the weekend, I had, a lot of time to think about Holy Week, and it had a little bit of continuation into today in the sense that I was still reading Matthew as part of my devotions, but I did not have a lot of time to specifically study and read because it's Monday and it's a work day. So, as Beta Rock Church goes, I said, and don't see any reason why I have to waver from that. I did say when I originally said it that if it starts to hurt things, and I guess the opportunity's there, but mainly I definitely at the beginning don't want to be like taking offerings so you can pay for my sorry behind half money. That's no way. No way. When Abraham separated from Lot, right, he didn't want to have any connection to, the riches that came from that. And once we get to 500, then I don't think anybody's going to be fussing about me taking, money from the Beta Rock Church. But out of the gate, no. So I got to have a job, and I still have a lot of time to think about what I'm going to say. And I did think about it a lot today. And anyway, once I got home, and now I wanted to post what we're going to talk about, and divorce was it. A lot of my thinking comes from, let me pull it up here, where, uh, what is it? Eventually I'm going to have these memorized, but I still don't. John 3:8, my prayer. I heard Pastor Johnny do his prayer. I took a note of it so I can write it down because he says the same thing every time, and he does it in like 10 seconds. So, you might, because I thought that once, did he really pray? Shouldn't the pastor pray during service? And he did for 10 seconds. Good. Okay. But to the depth of a prayer, this is my prayer. It's true. I've given this thought. So, John 3:8, the wind blows wherever it pleases. You hear its sound, but you cannot tell where it comes from or where it is going. So it is with everyone born of the Spirit. Then my prayer, Lord, may I be your wind here now. In Jesus' name, amen. So it's really something, to decide to be a pastor, to be I mean, I've never done it before, but I've always been, I think, respectful of the idea, like, what do I know, or to speak with authority. One time I did like a free get to know about Southeastern Baptist Seminary thing, and then they were saying, like, yeah, no, you are speaking for God. I'd have to, it's been maybe a year or so since I watched that, but I'm leaning into that. It's hard. Like, how dare you think that you say, I don't know, but I'm trusting here that I want to be different. You can listen to thousands and thousands of people. So I don't want to just tell you about divorce. I want to be the voice of God. And even because people say that, to be a mouthpiece for God, and that's true. But I like this passage because it says about the wind blows wherever it pleases. Fine. So I don't have time. I want to be committed to doing these every day at 6 o'clock, and then Sunday morning and Sunday's church. So 3 times. That's a lot of things to say. And when I really took it, I was like, this is a huge weight. But if I just say what comes into my mind, I mean, I do want to be prepared. So this is, but mainly, I really do think the power is, God, where's the wind blowing right now? It's 4 o'clock. I do have the commitment at 6, but what are we going to talk about? And divorce came to mind. Why? Well, because, and I've been thinking about it now for 2 hours because I wasn't thinking about divorce all day long. But I thought, if there's any one thing that I know more than most pastors, this is it. Okay, right? One time here lately, Tommy Nelson preached and said that when he gets introduced, somebody that was the introducing person, the introducer, and I don't know how many it was, but he said over the years, the introducer guy, not Tommy Nelson, the pastor I like, said that of the pastors that had come and gone, because Tommy Nelson had preached and seen this introducing guys, this clear, numbers of times over the year. He had preached at this place several times. It might have been Dallas Theological. I don't think that was it. I forget. I don't think that was it. But the guy said that over the years, these pastors that are specially especially, or is that the word? They're special. They're good ones, okay, that are brought in here. He said 32 had moral failures. 32. Well, the good news of my story is my moral problems are done. Okay. Praise be to God, I think, for this. Okay. I mean, just as the things go, one time at the city of refuge in Atlanta, there was a lot of super good pastors there. I mean, I just started yesterday listening to First Baptist Dallas, and it reminds me of the culture of being in these, mega churches. 14,000 people. When you got that many people, I only had the one experience, but Michael W. Smith comes. He got to go to church somewhere. I guess it goes to First Baptist frickin' Dallas. They don't go to the Salvation Army across the street where Michael W. Smith is not going to be my place in this world. It's not the Salvation Army in Chambersburg. Okay. He seemed to have a good heart and all, but he's enjoying, service in Dallas. So City of Refuge, though, was in 14,000 member, 17,000 member First Baptist. And it reminded me because one of the guys that in like a Tuesday night Bible study that I was in opened for Promise Keepers. I mean, we had better worship in that Tuesday night Bible study than I'd been in my entire life. Every week. I'm getting distracted now, but this one guy was a missionary that I think he was a great speaker. Okay. But now, can I say it? I'd forget. But I think somehow his mom and his grandma were the same person. Can you learn a craft? Can you be one of those guys that comes and so special as a craft? But at the end of the day, I'm not even going to take time right now to think about it, but I'm pretty sure that was it. His grandma and mom were the same person. And then he was in this brokenness. Do you think does that make sense? You need City of Refuge? You bet it does. Okay. So in our world, we slam down Jimmy Baker and all the people, that have had moral failures over the years. And I think that I don't know. But at some level, what's coming out of my mouth is wind blowing. I'm glad because I am set on the rock now. I told different people that I care about most profoundly today. I woke up and got all pissed about something, and I told these people that I care about what was going on. Boom, boom, boom. And then I thought a little boom, two booms. Okay. So I went running. What about divorce? What can I say? You understand here. I have two friends. I could name them. Of course, they're my friends. Well, they're not my friends now, I guess. But at some level, these are my friends, whether they think they are or not. These are two people that I have been associated. I remember seeing this one picture that somebody else had. It wasn't in my family's photo album. It was somebody else that had taken this picture. And there was my one friend. Probably the other friend was there too. Okay. From some kind of Sunday school way back at the beginning of time. Okay. Divorce has ended both of those friendships. And I was thinking while I was running, because that's kind of where this all was going. Like I kind of committed to myself, look, I'm going to be, what can I say that's crystal safe, crystal clear, crystal safe? And really to that thing, I think the thing is that maybe the greatest impact I can have into the arena of anything, I don't know, but into divorce marriage is through Beta Rock Church. I mean, if you, I really like it. The idea of having the Facebook out there and that you can go through and see everything that I say, because if I said it in 2020, which is the way it's going to be, but in 5 years, if you take the time, I don't know if you can even do that. That's why I use YouTube now, because I'm not sure how it scrolls. Plus, who wants to sit there and do all that? But if you could, I think it does keep the memory that long. Does it? I don't know. But I've said I'm not even going to, I cannot marry anybody right now the way that it is. Okay, but do you see this? I mean, I'm trying to say it, I haven't said it yet. But think about if you are an aspiring couple that wants to get married, all right? And then you happen to know me. Okay. All right. I'm saying the things that you might be like, you might say to your, fiance, what if Dwayne marries us? And then, I mean, because he's super serious. He does not want us to get divorced. Now, you might not, but everybody would know that. So, by the fact that you wouldn't go to have me do your wedding, okay, where I'm saying we can't even get married, okay, but how profound that is. How serious do you take marriage? This aspiring, theoretical couple. Today it came to mind too when I was running around that I had played this game called Township. Was it Farm something or other, Farmville? I don't know if it was an outcome of that. I didn't try, but somehow just at some time I just saw this game. It looked fine. I played it, and I've been playing it and playing it. Sometimes I think I'm done, and then that I like it. It's fun. I put money into it. I don't know. It doesn't, but one other person posted something online about how much money they spend playing this game. I don't even know. I mean, but I spend some money playing this game. It's kind of silly, but whatever. But part of it has this thing where you lead a co-op, okay? And I got in my head that in this whole evolution of being a pissant peon, which I had been for most of my life, into stepping into being Beta Rock or whatever, where I'm ready to say, no, listen, I've learned something here. I'm done being a peon. In fact, I'm going to go from peon to the palace. I'm going to be the king of the world, okay? My heart did not skip a beat. And it's taken me a long time to get somebody to join my co-op. And then people could laugh. The Psalms talk about that, where David prays, let them not say ha ha about me. Let me not be the joke of my enemies. I think about that when I was laying in my bed last night. Like, God, yes, oh, these Psalms, man, they're right on, because that's exactly what I do actually have a fear of, honestly, okay? Nope, I'm trusting God. Okay, whether I have no friends for the rest of my life, it's just not going to waver. So I'm not going to be number 33 on that guy's list. I wouldn't be. And that's what Tommy Nelson was praying. I hope I don't become the guy on his list that has a moral failure. Is God sovereign? Yeah. Does he know? And how did all these chess pieces come together? I don't know. But I do know that God is sovereign. And could if it had to been the Beta Rock Church had to start, did I want to be a pastor? When I think about stuff, I'm here, we just go on and on. What were the things that I'll finish the thought there. I remember being at Roxbury, and I might have been 14 or 15 or somewhere in that range, maybe 6, I don't know, young. And somebody had introduced me to this thought about, because I had wanted to be a pastor. People knew that. So that was just going to be the way that it was going to be. I was going to Messiah, and I did. I mean, it fell apart at Messiah, but somebody said to me in passing something about that a lot of pastors start as being youth group leaders or youth pastors. And I thought to myself, there's no way on God's green earth I want to be a youth pastor. Is that what I got to do? I remember thinking it. I remember where I was standing. Just I don't know. So it was like, could I really be a pastor until I was 45 years old? I mean, I think I even thought about it then. I'm not going to do that. I mean, then I hear Pastor Johnny talk, and he was a pastor like 1 year after, 2 or 3, I don't know, 3 years after he was saved. And he says, I don't recommend it. And I'm like, you know what? That's bull crap. That's what it means to be a leader. We figure it out as we go. Bumps and bruises along the way, but one thing is for sure, we like being the leader. Okay? And God help me that I'm good at it. But today and yesterday, I remember one time as a kid, I was laying at the river on this dock in this, oh, it was so comfortable. I fell asleep. I was fishing. And I was like, what's going on? I had caught a fish, like a catfish. I mean, I fell asleep waiting that long, but I got a fish. Stories of patience. Am I a patient person? I am now. God help me. Was I? No, no. Did God need to do some good work in me? Yeah. Did it hurt? Yeah. Wait, today. Because what I could do today, just as I got home, I sat down just yesterday or something. I bought Oswald Chambers, the utmost for his highest, an app. For some reason, I was like, because Pastor Johnny says things and then I do it, whether it's 7 or 8 years old. So he was talking about utmost, and he talked about it before. I was like, fine, I'm going to get this devotional, and I paid $4.99 as an app. I didn't want some kind of audio book. I was like, I bet they make an app. Sure enough, they did. It cost $4.99. I bought it. And I liked a little thing it had me think about yesterday. And then today it said about casting your care, casting your care. And Oswald Chambers said it different, better than the way that I had heard this sermon preached several times. Just cast your care on the Lord. Like get it, like about the nets. And that was the illustration. Those fishermen, you cast, just how far can you fling it? Don't care. Oswald Chambers says, no, you hold on to your burden, but lean it up against God. Participate, come on top of it with God. I'm like, that's a whole better way to think about this. Oh, so I like me some Oswald Chambers. Here we go. I can't really talk about divorce. That's one of the things I was thinking about running. So I'll talk about the stuff that I can. It's all related. It's all related. 2 times. These are maybe just 2 times. Conflict. Is conflict and divorce like hand in hand? You bet. Okay. The people at the church, what's that? Let's see if I can do it. Here's the church, here's the people. Open the door and there ain't no people. That's what happens when you get divorced. You open the door and they're all gone. Somehow there's steeple. Somehow you do this. I forget how that goes. But this is the analogy of when you're nobody there. Okay, like what's the biggest criticism of church? Hypocrites. Well, by God, that's the truth. Conflict. What's beta rock really mean? Beta. Conflict. I'm going to be spending me some time in conflict. I'm going to do it. Okay? To really read some books, maybe. Think about it. It's in my counseling, it's in my prayers. But to go with this whole church, I mean, how many times did I go to church and there was lots of people there? A lot. How many times was it genuine? Hard to say. Way more. Definitely a lot of times where it's a bunch of bull crap. Remember my 2 friends that were my friends my whole life? Super Bowl parties and all this stuff. I mean, events. Were they really my friend? One time I called one person, hung up so fast it was like maybe they died. I'm like, that hurts. It was, Anyway, the 2 stories. Because I'm not the only one that has these problems. But the 2 times that I can think about church in the sense of conflict, there was this big giant man. This is one story. And he wasn't a Christian person, but he knew enough, okay? And for somehow, he had a pretty wife, pretty, for like a motorcycle riding kind of guy. Huge man, big, not fat, not like not like Fabio muscle, like He-Man, but maybe he would have been. I don't know, but he had a couple kids. His one little daughter was cute too, I remember. And what happened is that he decided to take it serious. If something happened, maybe his wife was complaining about one, maybe I don't really know. I really don't. But it was genuine. His attitude was right. And so he was coming into church thinking, you know what? I'm going to test out this place and I want to find me some answers. And I've been doing some reading. That's what had been his basically attitude. So what he did is a couple times he interrupted church and came up, like I think a couple times he might have even come up to the front. And I thought about this when I was running, and I've thought about this story and this guy before. Was he being an offensive? I mean, you could pharisaically criticize him for being offensive, and you could be right. But that's not what I think. I think he was just genuinely wanting to know what God wanted. What happened? He did this for a couple weeks because he was right. The people at church couldn't really, but they didn't like it. But what did they do? What were their true colors? Their true colors were brown bullshit. Maybe not black, I don't know. But it was bullshit. That's what I think. Hypocrisy, these seeds of hypocrisy that I saw different times. And then I just reverted to the comfort of figuring I didn't know. Okay. But here of late, I just said, no, that was wrong. He was right. That guy in the church did him wrong. One of the inalienable rights, I can lead right into this, which I'm supposed to say at the beginning. If you participate in Beta Rock Church, have you been heard? That's a question, as I listed out over here on the screen here. I have my notes. There it is. An inalienable right of Beta Rock, not that he was in my mind, but just that's exactly right. Because if that would have been his inalienable right, then the church couldn't have done what it did to him, because they would have already made an agreement, like I'm saying, like, no, this guy needed to be heard. It might not have had to been during that Sunday school time, but he has an inalienable right to get it worked out. And this pastor that was the pastor at that time, and even in my own case, a time I came hurting and wanting to know answers, he was busy. Like, I will never do that. Never. It's not right. Just because you say you're some frickin' church doesn't mean that you really are. Just coming into this, I was listening to John MacArthur go on and on. And that's why I like listening to these people. There aren't, when I say these people, but he is one in particular. He is always hammering that down. Lord, Lord, exactly the passages I'm saying. They're right there. That's what I woke up Googling this morning to the people that I care about. Don't give me bull crap. You respond to this, but I already told him you're wrong. But I did say it to make sure we were clear. So the church failed in that instance. So in terms of conflict, is the church a vehicle to resolve conflict? No. Okay. Is that a shame? Oh my God. Even Paul agrees. Like, maybe I'll even try to find it. First, let's try. Let's see if I can find it quick. 1 Corinthians 5. I mean, this is is it 6? Okay, it's 6. Therefore, where is it? But instead, a brother, where's this? But instead, and this in front of unbelievers. Oh, where is it? This is something in here. Oh, come on now. Let's see if I can. There's a shame. Oh, okay, there it is. Oh, good. 1 Corinthians 6, verse 5. I say this to shame you. That's what I was starting to say at the beginning of this. Hey, church person that doesn't want to deal with divorce. And I'm not that guy that came with the muscles and didn't know anything. I've been born into the church from 9 months before I was born. And I'm now finding out, like he did all those years ago, that this is a pile of bullshit. Not this, the church. I can say it all calm. You know why? Because I trust God. And I think that's where Beta Rock Church is going to go to Rome. Because, like I've said, if I say it slow enough and true enough and long enough, other people are going to join. Just like two people did today with my township game. Well, one, because the one lady, this one guy he wrote, and I was I mean, it stunned me. I'm like, kind of like my catching my fish, like, oh, I got one. And we'll see, we'll see. Have to go through the Dwayne Sollenberger Township membership class to see, right? Okay. The Rock. We're not about growth primarily, we're about doing it right. Other story. This one got me upset today thinking about it. This guy, it's funny. This guy was Mennonite. This guy was born into church, best I know, 9 months before he was born, too. Okay? He knew church. He was self-employed. I just mentioned that. I remember talking to some deacons about the whole situation, you know, and that was their comment. Self-employed people are hard to control. Oh, God. I mean, help us, God. Anyway, he had a beef with the pastor, and I knew the beef. He left. He was right. And you know what? Who's to, you could think, oh, well, who's to say? Well, I do know one thing. Divorce sat on the tail end of that story. Now, I'm not going to get into details by some kind of chance, whoever could listen to this that might really know different things would be like, I know who you're talking about. Well, we'll just let that be. Which at some level brings me to some level of a point of what I've just really owned in my heart to a few things. One, Charles Stanley said, if God puts his circle around something, do you have to worry about it? In other words, if God has said this is going to be the way that it is, I take a lot of comfort in that. God is sovereign, and I'm going to do what I can control is doing what's right. Not looking at all at the surroundings or asking myself how I feel. Or at least not acting. That's really it. Feelings are fine. But acting on feelings over the Bible, bad idea. And then other reality, back to the story of the guy that's the self-employed funny guy. Charles Stanley says this a lot, that your sins find you out. He says it in a way like it'll come around and bite you in the ass. Running, listening to the sinners in the hands of an angry God, some kind of Deuteronomy. I got to listen to it again. It made its way to my phone, and that's why, because I need to know these passages better. But eventually your foot slips. Can I be a testament to that? Yeah. And that's what happened here. The pastor was wrong. Was it a complicated situation? Now that I just even right now I'm thinking about it, had it been handled under a Beta Rock church, would have that marriage survived? Would have it, well, that's interesting. Would have it started under Beta? I don't know. I really don't know what my strategy is going to be other than it, within marriage. If I'm going to marry, we are going to take this Bible and we are going to flesh it out, and I'm going to say everything that I think and believe, and we're going to talk it through. How about the fact that Paul says it's better not to be married? I thought about that. There's this guy. I mean, what does the Bible say? It says it's better to, it's not a sin, and that if you can't control yourself, like your urges or whatever, that's kind of the idea. But it's funny, right, to admit that he got married because he was knowing, like, he read the passage and he's like, "Yep, I can't control myself." So that's funny to me. I mean, isn't that funny? But that's where I think that as Beta Rock, I'm going to step in there and say, let's come in here so close. I get that. Okay. But what I have learned, you're looking at my face and is this being serious? I mean, yeah, I have learned that as much as, there's something very, very good about being single. I I don't know that I believe it, even though I see the things happening. That's probably the real more truth to my story into this. But I'll tell you one thing, I ain't dying. And what is a principle that covers divorce and everything is that God needs to be first. And maybe then marriage can find a happy place where it is clearly second or somewhere later. Who knows how things are going to go? Are we done? Problem. How about we start the sermon now? We'll be done. I'm done. I said that's what I wanted to say. What's the problem with divorce? There's a couple. In no particular order, but maybe the church is the number one problem. We have 50% divorce rate, 65 for second marriage, 75% for third. We have no church discipline, and but nobody even cares. Nobody's talking about it. Coronavirus ends, humanity, and 50% divorce happens, and we go about our days. That's a huge problem. They don't take it serial, to quote South Park. Neither does the state. Some states really, the state, country, the non church way of thinking, they care about taxes. And I bet we spend gazillions and millions and trillions in some kind of huge enough number that we ought to care. That's a problem. And conflict. America doesn't like conflict. 3 problems. What are solutions? How about Samuel in the Bible, where the people are saying, we want a king. And God says, why don't you just trust me to be your king? Somewhere in all that, that's so fundamental. So fundamental. I mean, I think when you open up those passages in Sam that talks about taxes, like God's like, hey, guess what? They're going to take your money. I'm trying to give you some good advice here and just stick with me. Well, I'm trying to say most deeply, we need to reel back and stop government. I mean, however this is going to go, right? Who knows? But when we're driven by a principle that says that God should be first, let's let the consequences come as they come. But even as I did think about this at work, if we go and operate can we possibly not say that God can be trusted with the responsibility? Yes, he can. So let's aim for what makes sense. So yes, divorce is locked into this, but that's not really, that's only one part of so many different problems. So the call to action is to join Beta Rock Church. Send me some kind of an email, what is it? betarock@gmail.com. They have this little chat thing here. I think you can comment on this. I probably get some kind of email. Start a discussion. Be like one of those little fishies that I caught. Be like the people in Township Game. And pervasively, as always, with every time I ever speak, the closing is, are you ready to take a step of lordship and a full surrender? I mean, my God Almighty, I can't say that. Let's just leave it be like that. Are you ready to take a step of lordship to make Jesus Christ the rock of your life? The centermost thing, the thing that you make decisions based solely 100%, all to Jesus I surrender. To move away from the Billy Graham idea that we prayed a prayer and now we're in heaven. Dude, that just ain't biblical. Sorry. I mean, it is, but it's so confusing. What's more clear is that if you're not making decisions where it's clear that Jesus is the Lord of your life, then you're going to hell. Because you're sinning. And Hebrews 10:26-31 is all looped into this. You want to argue with me? Then send me an email. Otherwise, get busy changing. Get busy. Actually, better than fighting me, fight God. Pray about it. Can you do that? Can you open your heart to put it on the table like I did with conflict? All right, let's pray quick. Okay. Lord, and I pray with my eyes open because look, I'm moving into prayer. I want it to be genuine. Lord, help us not get divorced. Help me to lead a church where we can get into a thing where we start to fix this sunken ship with life rafts that are left. Let's make it what you intended it to be. In Jesus' name, amen.